Oh, there we go. All right, so it kept telling me we're not going left. Hey, good morning, everybody. Wisconsin State Senator representing the 10th Senate District, Rob Stafsholt, is our very special guest today, Wednesday, November 16th, 2022. For DrydenWire.com, I'm Ben Dryden, and I want to give a special shout-out and a thank you to some of our recent guests that have come on the show, including, well, now Senator-elect in Wisconsin's 25th Senate District, Romaine Quinn, Barron County Sheriff Chris Fitzgerald, Pastor Brian Cole, 30th Assembly District Representative Shannon Zimmerman, 28th Assembly District Representative Gabe Magnifici, and 7th Congressional District Representative Congressman Tom Tiffany, just to name a few. You can watch a recording of those shows and all of our previous live shows on our website at DrydenWire.com, right here on our Facebook page under the videos tab, or just go to our YouTube channel. That's where we kind of store everything, just youtube.com/DrydenWire. And tomorrow, Thursday, November 17th, I'll be chatting with former Wisconsin Supreme Court Justice Dan Kelly, who I think is running for Supreme Court again. We're going to find out tomorrow, I guess, at 8:30 right here on our Facebook page. But today, we welcome back to the show. It's been way too long, Rob. Wisconsin State Senator representing the 10th Senate District, Rob Stafsholt. Rob, good morning, buddy.
Good morning, Ben. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, we missed you in this last election cycle because, you know, it's 4 years for senators, but you're not up for 2 more years, so you gotta pass through all this. So you weren't on during this last one.
I got to pass. I thought I'd have a nice, relaxing late summer and fall without hitting the campaign trail and really consuming your life with that. But I soon found out that when it's not your turn, you get to go help your colleagues in other areas. So I spent quite a bit of time traveling around helping other folks. So.
I didn't think about that. Yeah, you're right, because I see like Gabe Magnifici on her Facebook page and everything in there. Yeah, there was you and all these things.
Well, anytime I can stand next to Gay, it makes me look better.
Yeah, that does. Yeah, I can totally see that. Yeah, like you and I right now, like nobody wants to watch the show. 2 fat guys they're on the show. Oh, you know what? Here's the thing. I wanted you to come on because I want to talk about wolves because I still don't understand it. So we're going to get to that because DNR, I think I had it printed. We put this up last week. Our headline was Proposed 22 Wolf Management Plan Available Now. That was from the DNR. And I want to go through this a little bit with you. So ever since we started doing, posting things about wolves like 3 years ago or so, I was shocked to find out how polarizing of a topic it is, especially in northern Wisconsin. And I still don't get it. Congressman Tiffany's tried to explain it to me. I don't really understand why it's so polarizing. I don't really understand what all of this is about. And I asked around, who can I have on, for this? And everyone I talked to said, oh, have Rob on. Like, why? He's, he's a senator, but he's not in the DNR, or I know you hunt.
Sure.
So I want to get to all that, but I actually first want to start with elections. But why did everybody tell me you're the guy to have on to talk about wolves?
I've actually been working on the wolf issue in Wisconsin for over 2 decades. I was on the stakeholders committee back in the day and used to travel around the state and went to all the wolf population estimate meetings in the spring. I was on the Wisconsin Bear Hunters Association board of directors, and I was kind of charged as their wolf policy guy. So I've got 20 years. I know it's hard to believe I'm old enough that I've been working on something for 20 years, but it's been 20 years I've been working on that issue here in Wisconsin, and I guess I've built up a little bit of knowledge that people reference from time to time.
20 years. Yeah. All right. So we're going to have to, dig into all of this stuff in a minute. But first, election results. You just said that you've gone over or you've had to help out, not have to, but, that's just part of the role. That's how it works. Republicans or Democrats, just what you do.
Yep.
So your 10th district, for people who don't know, the 10th Senate district covers what?
So as many people know, the district lines just recently changed with the last census, but I used to go up to like Webster, Yellow Lake, all the way over to Grantsburg, and then down almost to Ellsworth, and from the Minnesota border over to the city of Menominee. And now they've that my district shrunk because of the population growth coming into St. Croix County. So the districts are set up, and everybody wonders how we do that. It's based so that every senator and state representative represents the same number of people, so it's an equal representation. And so we needed to shrink my district down a little bit because of the population increase in Somerset and Richmond, Hudson River Falls. And now I lost most of Burnett County, if not all of Burnett County. So I'm a little south of Siren, and I
What
go
what
down.
what counties? So Polk.
Yeah, Polk, St. Croix. I get just a small chunk of Pierce, and Dunn.
Oh, done.
Yep.
Anything in over? Does it bleed into Barron?
I bump right up against Barron.
Sure,
I
sure.
might have, to be honest with you, I might have gained. I'm still learning my new district, but I might have gained one or two townships in Barron there. So
Oh
I
yeah.
used to end at the city of Menominee, and now I go almost all the way to Eau Claire. Include places like Colfax and Wheeler's in, Ridgeland's
Okay.
in, some of those kind of places.
My here's the fun fact. My brother Matt Dryden was because he was in law enforcement for like 10 years. He worked in Dunn County Jail. I don't remember what his title was, like a sergeant or something. I don't know. But he was also, so they used to work 6 days on, 3 days off, 6 days on, 3 days off. And his 3 days off, he was the chief of police in Wheeler.
Is that right?
Yeah, it was top dog in a one dog town, right?
Yeah.
I mean, like when he wasn't working on those 3 days, it wasn't like they had anybody else working. So like for 6 days, you could just pretty much do whatever you want. But it's just, a tiny
you go to
little
Wheeler
thing.
and there's a little place on the corner there, and I enjoy it because if you stop in the middle of the week, especially in the winter when a few guys are laid off, there's still a good old fashioned card game going on and some coffee drinking and maybe a warm sandwich, and it's just good people over there.
I love that. So your 10th Senate district, of course, most people know Senate districts, they're made up of 3 assembly districts. And your 3 assembly districts would be 28, 29, 30. That's Gay Magnifici. So she won. She defeated Patty Schochner. Actually, she had your seat. I forgot about that. She beat Adam Jarko for the 10th Senate district in a special election.
She did
like
quite handily.
Yeah. We always like to bring that up as often as possible. That she whooped Adam, and Adam's a good sport about it.
That's one of my favorite things about Patty is how bad she beat Adam.
Yeah, that's just great. And then she was up for re-election, and you ran and you beat her.
I did.
But now she was running for the 28th Assembly District against Gabe Magnifici. Were you surprised by that Gay holding that seat? I mean, it's always tough or harder to defeat an incumbent. But were you surprised that Gay won? And if you weren't, were you surprised at all by how much she won?
I wasn't surprised that Gay held that seat, and here's why. As you alluded to, my Senate district is comprised of 3 different assembly districts, and of those 3 districts, the district that Gay represents traditionally has always been the most Republican, and so and Patty knows this. It was a relatively uphill battle, I think, when she started, but I give her the credit for putting her name on the line.
That's right.
And throwing her hat in there. So,
but they lost the 28th, lost Burnett County. And that's very conservative or typically conservative voting.
Yeah.
So
Gay was nervous about that because she lost Burnett County, but she gained the city in Richmond, so roughly 10,000 people that she hadn't represented before and who knew Patty pretty well. Patty's been in that community and between there and Somerset quite a bit. So, I think Gay was concerned about that challenge, but it worked out for Gay.
Yeah.
So.
And then the 29th I didn't know much about that one. I think I had the Democratic candidate, Danielle Johnson. Is that the right one?
Yeah.
Yeah, 29th. And then Clint Moses, we didn't get time. We only have so many, slots available. We didn't get time to have him on, but I don't know that district. I got to know Danielle a little bit. I don't really know Clint.
Sure.
So I didn't even look to see how much he won by.
I guess I don't know the numbers offhand either, but that's my former assembly district when I was in the assembly. So when I gave up my seat to run for state senate, Clint is the one that took over that seat. And then actually Danielle Johnson just lives up the road from me a couple miles. She's actually a neighbor of mine. So,
wow.
And we know each other. So that was an interesting matchup because Danielle had a little bit more name ID perhaps in New Richmond, and Clint was better known down in Menominee, and Clint actually came out on top there. So that was good from my perspective.
And then in the 30th, we had both of those candidates on. The Democratic candidate was Sarah Yakub. I think this is the second time that she ran against Shannon Zimmerman, who won re-election again. Any surprise there?
No, I think Shannon does a solid job. He really turns out his community. He spends time in the community, and he that's his neighborhood. So I think he did. I think he did exactly what we expected there.
Well, so I find that interesting right now because that proverbial red wave never really happened statewide or nationally, but in Northwest Wisconsin it certainly did. And
Yeah.
then you look over at the 25th. So your I don't know, peer, but your counterpart in the Senate, now Senator-elect Romaine Quinn in the 25th, his 3 assembly districts, 73, 74, 75, are also Republican. And, of course, he's a Republican. Obviously, nobody ran against Dave Armstrong, which was weird. I don't think
Yep.
anybody would have won, to be honest, but still. And then
Right.
there was I don't know if surprise is the right word, but the 74th and 70, the 73rd and 74th, the 74th Chance Green one, and then the 73rd, that one, nobody, I mean, I had no idea who was going to win that one, to be honest.
Yeah. No,
It,
I think you're spot on. I think those, and it's no secret that that's where I spent a lot of my summer, was up there helping Romaine and Chance Green and a little bit of Angie Sepik, but mostly Chance Green and Romaine. And those seats had been democratically held for, don't hold me to this, 34, 36
the
years.
Senate seat was 35 or 36
Okay.
for Romaine's, and then the 74th, which was previously Beth Myers, when Chance
Yep.
won, that was a 35 or 36. One of them, I can't remember which one. And then,
Yep.
Nick Milroy in the 73rd, he was there for, 14 years.
Yeah.
So,
Yep. Yeah.
yeah, I
And
mean, it was,
it's interesting that both of those two representatives, Milroy and Beth Myers, were retiring, and so that created an opportunity, as you
and
said
Janet
earlier.
Bewley.
Yeah, and Janet Bewley as well. And as you said, it's a little harder to overcome an incumbent, and when those seats are open and people get to run, it's usually a little bit more open race. I didn't exactly know how all those were going to shake up when we started the summer, but as we went along, Romaine, I thought, was pretty strong, and Chance worked really, really hard. I was proud of him.
That's what I was told, that because I didn't really follow that race that much, but I was told that Chance did a lot of work.
Yep, he
And
did.
that doesn't always
And
lead
yeah,
to a win, but still, put in a lot of work,
Yep, doing no work often doesn't lead to a win, and so
typically.
we made it clear to him in the beginning that if you're going to do this, you need to be all in, and he really came through. So I was proud of him.
Well, in the bigger picture, nothing has really changed in the legislature for the most part, right? No, Evers is still there. Josh Call, which obviously is not legislative, but still, it's Democrat held in the governor's office, and no supermajority for Republicans. So it's basically, I don't remember who I was talking to just recently. Maybe it was Romaine last week, right after the election. I said, so nothing has changed. So basically everything that's happened in the last 2 years, we're just going to see that again. Is that kind of how you feel? I mean, you obviously didn't have an election cycle this one, but
Yep.
you've been doing this for a while. Are you going, all right, it's going to be, don't really expect that much different?
I would think you'd see 2 more years a lot like the last 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
However, generally governors don't run after 2 terms. Walker tried and lost. So I think in the Wisconsin history, there's only been 2 governors that have been successful in a 3rd term. So
I didn't know that.
yeah, I believe that's right, but I didn't look that up to make sure I was right before the show, but I think that's right. And I think it's likely that Governor Evers maybe doesn't run for a 3rd term. So I think in general, when you know that it's your last term, you can get a little bit more aggressive for your side. So from my perspective on the opposite side, we're going to watch a little closer and make sure that the people who elected us aren't underserved by that. So, I think much the same, maybe a little bit more aggressive from his side. But,
Okay, so I want to get to this proposed. This is from the DNR. We had it on our website last week, and their headline was Proposed 22 Wolf Management Plan Available Now. And I just printed off this. I just want to read just a little bit of this. The DNR released a draft of the updated wolf management plan for public review and comment. This management plan lays out a holistic approach to ensuring the state's wolf population remains healthy and secure while balancing the public's diverse interests. The draft aims to effectively balance the trade-offs between 3 main objectives: ensuring a healthy and sustainable wolf population to fulfill its ecological role, addressing and reducing wolf-related conflicts. What does that mean? Wolf-related conflicts? Like with each other?
So a big topic is depredation, where wolves go in and kill pets, dogs, hunting dogs, beef cattle.
We call those conflicts, wolf-related conflict. That's a very, very, very PC way to say.
Yeah.
Yes, very nice. Very nice.
That's as smooth as you can coin that.
Yeah. Yeah, what was kind of when we do our Ben and Fitzy show with Sheriff Fitzgerald, Yeah, it's not called a riot, it's a civil unrest or something. I don't know. Whatever. And the third thing was providing multiple benefits associated with the wolf population, including hunting, trapping, and sightseeing. So, again, I was told to have you on to talk about wolf stuff first. Again, at the very beginning, I had stated that, jeepers, that I don't really understand a whole lot about this stuff, the wolf thing, but I do know it's very polarizing. So, first,
Yes.
why is this topic so polarizing?
It's polarizing because I think you have a group of people, or at least a population of people, that when the population of wolves in Wisconsin was next to none, uh, and we're going to get people that argue the finite points, but it was a very, very low population, if any, in Wisconsin. They worked hard to bring the wolf population back and build it back up to a sustainable population. They say that they didn't bring wolves into Wisconsin and release them, but I've gone to enough meetings that if they didn't, a lot of the wolves maybe came over from Minnesota up in Douglas County, and they would live trap those and relocate to help spread them across Wisconsin. So technically, I guess they didn't bring them across the border, but they actively help spread them across the state to bring them to different areas of the northern part of the state.
So we want wolves. Like, I'm not kidding. I am so incredibly ignorant on this.
Yeah.
We want wolves in Wisconsin, right?
Some people want wolves. Some people thought it was just fine without wolves, and I guess the biggest concern that a lot of people have. So to keep going on that timeline, the wolf population explodes, and the reintroduction efforts are widely successful. Most of the northern half of the state of Wisconsin is completely saturated with wolves, and now we're getting them down into Dane County and what we call non-primary habitat areas. So wolves are in Wisconsin. They're from top to bottom. There's lots of wolves, and I think the people that fought and worked hard to get to that point continue to work hard on behalf of the wolves. And the other side of that coin, the sportsmen, the beef cattle, people who aren't fans of the wolves are like, well, at what point do we now have enough? And that's been the argument over the last 20 years, is at what population do we manage those? We had a wolf population goal. The original one was 70 or 100. We soon found out that scientifically and following the science, that probably wasn't viable, because if there was a disease that came in and we only had 100 wolves, it could hurt the population or wipe them out in 1 year.
Okay. And hold on a second. When you say, is this another one of those PC things? Because I think I know what you mean. When you say manage the wolf population, does that mean like kill them?
So it depends on where we are in the wolf history. Yeah, what you're getting as a hunting season. But before that, we managed it trying to increase it to that level because we were below that level.
Oh, okay.
When we first started, if we had 20 wolves in the state, we're trying to manage that population to get up to the 100 or up to the. We made the new population goal, and we figured out that 100 wasn't sustainable. We went to 350, and that's where it's been at for a long time. And then add to that scenario that on and off politically, the wolf has been in and out of the court system on the endangered species list. It's a revolving door. It's just a never-ending battle of being on, they're off, they're on, they're off. And the problem with that is when they're on the endangered species list, the state has no control over the wolf population within its own state. They can't manage that. And then when it gets off, of course, you and I have talked before about the pendulum in politics swings too far both ways. So when it gets off, the people who want to manage that population immediately aggressively try to manage it to a different spot, and they swing it hard the other way. Now, I would contest from my perspective is that we've been at over 1,000 wolves in the state, and people can argue about the actual number. I don't know how accurate that number is. I would contest that it's considerably low over what I see when I travel around the state. But just say, excuse me, hypothetically that 1,300 wolves is where it's at. Our population goal is 350. And so the people who want to manage that wolf down to our population goal we need to take some policies, whether that's hunting, trapping, seasons, whatever that tool is in the toolbox to manage population. We're now at the point where instead of actively trying to increase the population, we need to decrease the population to get back down to our goal. And that's super controversial, especially for somebody that's worked a long time to manage the wolf population to go up. And then for them to hear that we want to have a season to manage it back down, that creates a problem with them. And then on the other side is, of course, the people that think, well, now it's way too big. We need it to go back down. So Therein lies your conflict.
Well, when you say our goal of 350, who's our?
The state, I apologize. Yeah. The state of Wisconsin, the DNR has come out with a wolf management plan years ago, 20 years ago, and now they've just updated, which is what you're talking about. They came out with
Okay, so that's really what this is all about.
Yep, they basically updated their plan, and the biggest point of contention and what folks should know about that is we've had this goal of 350 wolves, and we can argue, and some people have defended that that's the number it should be. The majorly significant part of the wolf management plan that just came out that you did the press release on is that there will no longer be a population goal number. So effectively,
it says right here, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I just saw the available science. So the plan proposes several changes to align the DNR's wolf management strategy with the current state of the wolf population, the available science, and the perspectives of a diverse public, such as, and there's 4 bullet points, I'll just read the first one, moving away from a single numeric population goal and instead using an adaptive management process focused on balancing the 3 main objectives, which we already kind of touched on those 3. Yeah, this is like company speak. Like, I don't understand what that means. Okay.
So the big difference is if you have a population number, which has traditionally been 350 for the last 20-some years, you manage it for that goal, and we're way over it. And when you're way over it, in order to manage it, you have a hunting season, a trapping season, something to bring that population number back down to hit your goal.
Is that kind of the same thing we do with deer? Like, I don't hunt deer hunt
almost
either.
Every species in the state we manage to a population goal. Deer, I don't believe we use an actual total number, although you can equate it out, but we manage deer based on the total number of deer per square mile.
Okay, got it. There was Mary Ann has this, it says, no, it isn't the state, it is the Wisconsin Bear Hunters Association's goal. Let's call a spade a spade. Is that accurate, Rob?
No, certainly the Wisconsin Bear Hunters Association has goals and they participate, but there's a large stakeholders group, which includes the Wisconsin Cattlemen's Association, pro-wolf and not so pro-wolf groups on both sides. It's a big stakeholders group, and they have argued out, and that's why it hasn't been updated for so many years, is because it's pretty contentious and trying to switch that number. And so what the DNR has done is just eliminated the number. And the significant part of that is if there's no population goal to try to get to, there's no need for a hunting season, and therefore they've avoided having to have one.
Whoa. Wait. So, well, if we don't, all right. So we're just getting rid of the 350 or whatever number. Yeah. Everybody, we, right, the DNR and whomever else is involved in this process come to, and that could be argumented, and that could have 2 sides. Oh, it should be at 100. Another one say we should be at 1,000. But whatever number we have, right now, 350, or that's the goal, right?
Yeah. So you pick the goal number, and then you manage it to that. And if the goal number is lower than the current,
then you want to introduce. Then if it's higher, then you want to got it. So now instead, we're going to be using an adaptive management process. What is that?
I don't know.
Okay. Okay.
That's PC DNR talk, I would think.
Okay. So
the other thing about this management plan is I would contend that this management plan is actually a plan to not manage it. Because if you don't have a goal to get to, you're not actually managing it to a certain location. It's really easy, and it's subjective. If you say, well, I think everything's going good and the population's healthy and everybody across the state thinks that this is where we should be at, that's pretty subjective by whoever's making that determination. And that's the same people then that get to decide whether or not we do or don't have a season and whether we do or don't decrease or increase the population.
Yeah, some of this really is total company speak, right? And I'm sorry, I'm not banging on the DNR, but this, because I don't know anything about the DNR, but this itself, adding mechanisms to address localized concerns, including wolf harvest concerns near tribal reservation boundaries and focused wolf harvest in areas with a history of wolf livestock conflict.
Yeah.
What are the mechanisms
to
address localized concerns?
So they use flag, like if you have a beef farm in Spooner, Wisconsin, and the wolves are coming in and killing your calves or killing your cattle, they use flashing lights and flags around the perimeter of the pen to try to deter those from coming in. They do different kinds of fencing. There's all kinds of different tools that are, in my perspective, somewhat limited in success.
So what happens? How does this, if this comes to fruition, I guess there's the whole idea is that the DNR is holding a 60-day public review and comment period, which the public can offer feedback on the draft. And there's a link on our article on our website. Again, I think that was Thursday or Friday last week.
Yep.
So let's play this forward, and you're You're a senator, you're a politician, so you don't like hypotheticals, but I love them because that always gets our guests in trouble for the next campaign.
Thanks a lot.
You bet. But let's play this forward, and we'll just take this one part of moving away from a single numeric population goal, and then, the adaptive management process thing. So there is no more, 350, 500,000, whatever. That's gone. What does this look like in 2 years after that in Wisconsin, vis-a-vis wolf population and wolves in general in Wisconsin?
So there's two very specific and significant parts to that. One, if you don't have a population goal, there's no real requirement to have a season. So Wisconsin would not have a harvest season. And two, part of the parameters, currently the wolves are on the endangered species list federally. And one of the parameters to delist them off of that list is the fact that the state has the ability to manage the population. And I think there's some contention as to whether or not you don't have a population goal, if that means that you are not actively managing them. And people argue both sides of that point. I'm just looking into that now, so I can't definitively say that. But I think one of the things that concerns me is if we ever want to delist them and get them back into Wisconsin's biologists' hands to manage them, if we don't have a population goal, I think that's not a strong talking point for the state of Wisconsin when they're talking to the feds about delisting.
So did I hear that correctly? That essentially means there would just be no more wolf hunting.
Right. Yep. They've been on the endangered species for 2 years now, I think. So we haven't had a season since.
Okay.
The last couple of years we haven't.
Okay.
Had a season,
then if we went away from the numerical, population goal, therefore and then it comes off of the endangered species list, then it's just.
Yeah. So currently it's in the federal hands, the federal government.
Right.
If it's on the endangered species list, the state doesn't get any say. If it comes off the endangered species list back in state control and you have a population goal, the state statute requires that you have a season to manage it.
But now we
down
wouldn't.
To that goal. We would not.
Okay. And I'm sorry, Mary, I don't know when she put this in. I think it was like 5 minutes ago. So I don't remember. We're still on this topic. They wrote the fiasco. Ask me if he is a member. I think that must be going back to the Wisconsin Bear Hunters Association. And by the way,
Yeah, I'm a strong sportsman. I'm a member of a lot of groups, including the Wisconsin Bear Hunters Association.
So as a senator, I mean, you're a hunter. You're a part of you just said whatever Wisconsin Bear Hunters Association. So you are, I'm assuming, not a big fan of removing the single numeric population goal. Is that correct?
I'm not, and the reason why is because the few limited hunting seasons we've had have been kind of kicking around a little bit. We didn't say, okay, we're at 1,300. The goal is 350. We're gonna harvest 1,000 wolves. We said, well, we're gonna harvest 114 or 214 or whatever the number is.
Oh.
We took it very slow because you want to ratchet that down at a slow level. You don't want to do a knee-jerk reaction. And I think we were just getting to the point where we're going to start to see some population reduction. And then they went back on the endangered species list, and now the population has gone up, in my opinion. And I think the people I talk to across northern Wisconsin, whether you're a beef farmer or honestly the tourism industry, the deer hunt in northern Wisconsin is not nearly what it used to be, and it's an absolute shame. And it's not the wolf's fault. The wolf eat deer. I mean, that's what they need to survive. And if you look at numbers, I've read numbers that say an adult wolf needs one deer every 9 days to survive. Well, if you have a pack of 5, that's a pretty significant amount of deer. And if you're hunting in a spot in the forest, if you were in Hayward or Spooner or up by Drummond, over by Superior, that makes a pretty significant impact on your deer hunting opportunities and the quality of your deer hunt, the number of deer in your area. And that's why people love deer hunting. I'm a deer hunter too, but I'm not as passionate about a lot of the people here in Wisconsin, and it takes away from it. So those people now are switching from their decades-long multi-family generational activity of going up north for the 9-day deer hunt, spend Thanksgiving up there. Those people are staying in southern Wisconsin where there's more deer, less wolves, and it's having a big economic impact on our small businesses as well. So you get the deer hunters, you get the beef farmers, but you also get the bar and restaurant owners, the hotel owners, the gas station owners. It's a contentious issue because it affects so many people in obviously different ways.
Yeah, and that's the part I still don't really get yet. I mean, I live in Spooner. I don't think I've ever even seen a wolf. I grew up out in the country of Shell Lake. I mean, I hear wolves, like even when I go to my parents' house, 'cause they still live there. At night, you can, hear them every once in a while. But I don't think I've actually ever seen a wolf. I grew up in northern Wisconsin, but, I don't like go out in the, woods or something. But I still don't understand that fully. And I don't want to spend too much time on you just, educating me. But what is the opposite side of this? The ones that are saying no, or I should say, they're saying yes, let's get away from the single numeric population. And when this comes off the federal endangered species list or whatever it's called, assuming it does at some point, we want more wolves. 5,000 is fine. 10,000, whatever. Don't touch them. Don't hunt them.
Yep.
Who are those people? I mean, what's the argument there?
So their argument is, and it's a lot of different groups of people, and I don't want to label people, but there's a lot of animal rights groups.
Oh, right.
There's folks that don't think there should be any hunting of any species, and they see this as an opportunity to get one more notch up on their agenda. There's just a lot of different people, and some of the people are pure. I've talked to some great people that are purely genuine in the fact that they thought there wasn't any wolves in the state, and they spent a lot of time and energy trying to help support the fact that we brought the population back. And now they feel like they're kind of getting kicked back down because now we're going to manage them to a lower number than they've built up. And those people have a personal stake in that game too. So
right.
I think the significance of not having that population goal, unfortunately, this issue in wolves in Wisconsin has been a political back and forth issue for 20 years. And I think that this management goal is one more political statement, because if you don't have a goal, you don't have a hunting season, and it's just a political tool. I also find it incredibly interesting that press release came out the day after Governor Evers got reelected. Governor Evers is in charge of the Secretary of the DNR, and the DNR is in charge of this wolf management plan. I find the timing, at least, is a little bit interesting to me that he didn't put that out 2 weeks before the election, when perhaps it's not very popular in populations in northern Wisconsin.
Is at least in your district or north of Wisconsin, you can't speak for everyone, of course, but it's like saying Burnett County, as we're talking about, is a conservative county. That doesn't mean everybody's conservative.
Right.
It's just percentage-wise, that's just how it is. Do you think in your district, or maybe a little bit further, like northwest Wisconsin in general, do you think that most people are for one over the other?
And this is 100%, as Mary puts out, it's my opinion. But my opinion is that as I travel around northern Wisconsin, I talk to constituents. The people who live in that area, own cabins in that area, spend a vast amount of time there. A higher population of those people would like to see the wolf population reduced back down to the 350 goal. There are still some of those people, obviously, that disagree with that. They're on the other side. But a higher population think we need to manage the wolf population down. What I think is interesting is a lot of the people that spend one weekend a year up north are the ones that want to have more wolves. And they not any fault of their own, other than they're not there. They didn't see one on their 3-day weekend they took, but yet they want to have more. And they're not really boots on the ground. They don't maybe fully understand the issue in the very specific area they're in. So, the people that are residents there, the constituents that live in my 10th Senate district, I think if we have a vote, and this is very much my opinion, I think that more people would appreciate a lower wolf population.
Well, I'm not, and I'm sure people will be upset. Well, probably not, but whatever. They're upset with me for everything all the time. Anyway, I'm not, animal right activist. I don't hunt at all. You know that. I don't like it. I think it's gross. I can get my food at a Economart, and I don't have to go outside. Really, it's just fantastic. But it's perfectly fine. Other people do. I don't care. I don't know. When it's wolves, that's a little different because they're a little more aggressive, in my understanding. And I'm just now remembering we did a story like 3 years ago, maybe somewhere, and it was about a wolf attacking. I think it was a horse just outside of Spooner here. I think it was towards the golf course, Spooner Golf Course, some area over there. And I could be wrong, so please correct me. But I think they were even. I think when I asked, can you just shoot the thing when you see it? They said you can't.
Yeah.
Is that true?
I don't know if that's factually true. I think you have the right to defend your property, but I think you're going to have to answer for those actions, and they're going to be scrutinized very much. So you better make sure that you're in that position. And that goes right back to what we said about why this is such a contentious issue, is because that person that owned that horse loved that horse, and it's nature, but it's very gruesome to see when a wolf depredates a horse or a beef cow or somebody's pet. It's pretty gruesome to somebody that's not used to seeing that, and they get very angry. And of course, the other side is very passionate about being pro wolf, and that clash just happens, and it's a pretty heightened argument relatively fast.
So this is all from the DNR's press release. You are a senator. Do you get a vote on this at some point, or are you a part of, I don't know, hearings, committees, whatever you guys do?
So the very best part of what you said just a little bit ago is this plan has been released, and it's now time for public input. So everybody that has a concern, judging by the comments, Mary Ann's going to weigh in her concerns. And I think that hopefully this, deer season's coming up this weekend. The 9-day gun deer season starts, and I'm sure all of those people are watching the DrydenWire today. So they're all going to talk about it in deer camp and make sure they get out and say their piece. And part of the problem we have is sportsmen feel like we've been saying our piece for, giving our opinion for 20 years and we never get anywhere. And I think the other side probably feels to some extent the same way. So people are getting tired of weighing in on these things, but this one is critically important that however you feel on the issue, I'd be weighing in that we need to have a population goal and manage to that goal. And I hope others do as well. But it's time for the public to be informed. And, I always hear everybody, oh, nobody asked me. Well, we're asking you.
We're asking you right now.
Yeah, we need you to weigh in.
Yeah, so when this is all finished, I guess my question is, who makes the decision? So after the 6 days, I think it goes to the 10th. Yeah, it ends on January 10th for people to weigh in, and then they'll have to, take, figure everything out, etc. Who makes the decision?
So the DNR ultimately does, because the state of Wisconsin legislature is given the authority to manage things like population, season dates, quotas, things like that. The legislature is given that authority to the DNR under rules.
Okay. Yep. Do you think it should be, by the way, DNR should be the one making this decision?
As much as I dislike the likelihood of the end of this result, but yeah, if the legislature had to go through every quota, every season date, everything, every single year, we wouldn't get anything else done. So I think it's an evil of necessity. I think it's something that in today's world, we just have to.
All right. Well, you've helped me at least understand some more of it. I know you're the chairman of something down there as well. So what is it?
I'm the chairman, and this is, it's interesting when you're in the assembly, you're chairman of a kind of a single topic committee, and when you move to the Senate, there's less senators, so they combine committees together. So I'm the chairman of the Senate Committee on Sporting Heritage, Rural Issues, and Small Business. That's all one committee.
That's good. I mean, some things I guess kind of go together, but a lot probably wouldn't.
Yeah, we get a wide array of topics in that committee, which is really neat. I really enjoy it.
Yeah.
Obviously, being a big sportsman myself, the Sporting Heritage deals with most hunting, fishing, trapping, things of that nature, and I really enjoy it.
Yeah, I know you have a hunting cabin not far from where I am.
We got a family cabin up northeast at Hayward there, where I try to spend some time when I can. And I go right through your hometown there, and yet I've never managed to stop and have a cup of coffee.
I know. What a jerk.
I think when I first started this, I was going to come and do the in-studio thing. And
then COVID.
And that shut down. And so now we're online friends at this point.
Yep. Relationship status. Complicated. So you're now heading into, we have a few minutes left, but I want to ask, you're going into obviously this next election, the next legislative, what is it called? Session. There we go. Sorry. Anything that you have that you want to get past this time, or anything that you're going to be focusing on this time?
Yeah, I think there's a wide gamut of things that are going to be coming, and some of them are going to be really controversial.
Nice.
Yeah, right. Be plenty of opportunity for more shows for Ben, but I think just going in the budget. So one of the interesting things when the first time I ever got elected is you sign the book, you're all happy. I'm finally get to hear you're still trying to figure out where the bathroom is in this big confusing building. And oh, by the way, tomorrow we start the $85 billion biennium budget. We need you to weigh in. It's like,
it's so stupid.
A little overwhelming, but that's the process we have here in Wisconsin, and we're already kind of. I was talking to some people on the way. I was in Madison last night till late, and on the way back, I was talking to some folks here about a VFW project, some other things that have some budget asks. So we're starting to put together our budget requests and starting to lobby for those within our own caucus there. So those kind of things are happening. The first thing in January, basically coming out of the gate, is starting to talk about the state's budget.
So that wasn't an answer. So there must be like you don't want to give it away. You don't want to let anybody else, know what you're doing.
You haven't got the press release yet.
Yeah, okay. So is there anything that you can share? Something that, whether controversial or not, that maybe if you want to do more of a broad stroke, something to really focus on. I can just tell you
that, and it's no secret, since I've been there, and I actually worked with my predecessor, Patty Schachner, to some extent, mental health in northwestern Wisconsin and the way we actively do that, especially in Chapter 51 situations,
is
absolutely horrendous. I'm embarrassed of the way that is handled. It's bad for the individual person and their mental health. It's bad for law enforcement issues. It's bad for local governments. It's just that system's broken. And admittedly, I've worked on that the entire time I've been there, and we've seen little progress. And I'm going to continue to keep working for that. And I think probably do some things in the budget, or at least write some legislation that would move some stuff around. But, for those that don't know, Chapter 51 is a 3-day hold if you're having a mental health breakdown. And right now we put you in handcuffs and put you in a squad car and send you way over to Winnebago.
You're like 6-hour drive or 4 hour drive.
It's and under state statute, ironically, when your 72 hours is done, under state statute, we're not required to bring you back.
I know.
So then you're stuck there. It's heartbreakingly bad.
And there was an opportunity for that's a whole other thing. We had an opportunity to get that closer to Northwest Wisconsin, but instead I think we put it in Mendota. Look, what is it? What?
Yeah.
I mean, if this is not just another example, and I'm sorry, I have to say it. This is not another example of just not caring about Northwest Wisconsin. Our population isn't big enough for them to care. I don't know. That's stupid.
You and I just talked about the fact that we rolled over some traditionally Democrat seats into Republican and whatever. But I will tell you that everybody thinks it's Republican versus Democrat issue in Madison, and that's accurate. We have those battles, but there's also surprised me to learn that the rural versus the urban is a continuous battle. And I worked with Patty when she was there, and actually Beth Myers was a good gal, and her and I worked together on some other things. But the rural legislators end up fighting for their fair share against the urban legislators. And to your point, exactly, we fight pretty damn hard to try to get our fair share back up here because we're at such a low population. Look at Romaine's new Senate district is, I don't know how many square miles.
It's huge. It's the largest one in Wisconsin.
Yeah, I think it's 2.5 or 3 hour drive from end to end. So,
Evers last, this was right before the election. He had, I don't think anything's happened since then. 146 bills that he had vetoed in his time as a governor, which is a record for Wisconsin. And I'm not banging on him for that specifically. I'm just saying that's a fact. 146, most ever had. I'm assuming you must have had some of your bills get vetoed. So the last thing for you before we kind of wrap this up is, what did he pass or not veto in this last 2 years that was your bill that made it through, that you're like, yay, it made it through? What was that? And then was there any that got vetoed? And if so, what was the big one that you're like, how in the world did that get vetoed?
I honestly would have to go back and look at the list. It's incredible to me how many bills actually go through the system. People talk about, they'll call me and say, what do you think about 367? Well, I don't have the number memorized because there's 1,700 bills. But if you tell me what it does, I likely, have an opinion on it. And, there's things that he vetoed that I didn't understand why. And there's things that he passed that I was happy for. But when you have split government, obviously it's a little bit more contentious. And that's why you end up with 146 vetoes. I think people ask me why it was a record for vetoes. And I truly believe that kind of an unheard of situation with Corona, in election arguments about election integrity, a lot of those things all added up into a pretty likely veto, and they were all kind of in one session. So I think
Republicans in the Assembly and the Senate, they're the ones that are kind of pushing a lot of that. Of course, I mean it's that's how it works.
Yep,
Right.
that's how it works. If the Republicans have the Assembly and the Senate, Evers is the Democratic backstop for that. So
Right. Yeah.
that's kind of how the process works.
My goodness.
There you go.
I love talking to you about
Thank
digitally
you.
over the phone, like not in person, because
Right. Yeah. You won't ever have me in person. I get it.
Okay, whatever. All right, man. Anything else that you wanted to make sure we talked about that we didn't get a chance to?
No, I think it's been a great fall here in Wisconsin. Most of our farmers are either wrapped up or wrapping up their fall harvest, and some of those guys are still out on the road. So be a little careful of the farmers, but they're trying to wrap up a long fall. And our gun deer season, a lot of the bow hunters have been out, and I've seen some really nice bucks getting harvested. And this Saturday is opening day for the gun deer guys, which is a big deal still in Wisconsin. And hope everybody has a safe and happy hunting season and spend some time with family and friends.
Awesome. Thanks, Rob.
All right. Thanks, Ben.
Special thank you to our guest today, Wisconsin State Senator representing the 10th Senate District, Mr. Rob Stafsholt. Reminder, tomorrow, Thursday, November 17th, I'll be chatting with former Wisconsin Supreme Court Justice Dan Kelly, who I think is running for Supreme Court again. That'll be right here on our Facebook page at 8:30 in the morning. So until then, for DrydenWire.com, I'm Ben Dryden saying thank you for watching, and as always, have a blessed day.